Grab some coffee, a Mountain Dew, maybe both. A storm is brewing. The Brainstorm. Welcome to The Brainstorm with Matt and Mike.
Hey, welcome to The Brainstorm with Matt and Mike. Over the last number of weeks, we've really produced a bunch of content associated with full funnel marketing strategies. And almost every business, Mike, has to have a really good marketing strategy today because there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of noise out there, especially online. And if you don't have a good marketing strategy, you're probably going to get lost in all that noise. And so when it creates inside that strategy, when it gets down to tactics, when it gets down to messaging, when it gets down to the actual execution of that strategy, you really have to have full funnel from going in it to coming out, actually conversion and selling it. And today, Mike, we're going to talk about full funnel marketing of subscription services. So think Netflix, right? Think Amazon Prime, even think some like OTT television that is more subscription like YouTube TV, YouTube Live or Hulu Live.
Software as a service.
Software as a service. So anything someone, consumer or business can subscribe to.
Hey, you know, one that some of our actual team members have subscribed to, and I've become very aware of it because they have a package that shows up to our office every week.
Right.
And so we're little plug here. We can see if we can send them a bill if they'll pay it.
Yeah.
Freshly. And so they deliver these like gourmet meals that are pre-prepared, and they've got the meal plan. I guess you build a meal plan, and they just ship you the food every week in a ice packed container, so that way it keeps it fresh.
Yeah, and you just get it and put it in the refrigerator.
And that's a
subscription
based service.
Yeah, I guess it is, and that's really
a consumable.
It's a consumable subscription based services, and a lot of people a lot of business owners and business executives, they want to build this recurring revenue model, right? And so everybody's looking for that. And if you're not, then hopefully this spurs you on into that thought process.
Yes.
Because you should be. And here's the deal. If people really like your product or your service, then why wouldn't people subscribe to it?
Right. Yeah, that's a game changer for a lot of organizations. Having a simplified process where they know how much they're going to pay, it's auto drafted or auto connected to a credit card, it's auto billed, and they don't have to worry about it. It's put on autopilot. They're served reminders so they know when they're going to get whatever it is, and it's just it's a time saver, and it just eases the process for everyone. But it could really build a healthy business instead of having to worry about inviting them back every single time to make a purchase again and being at the mercy of how they feel in that moment.
Hey, we've actually seen a large influx of these types of services, right? I mean, even like the Razor Group, the Razor company. I forgot
Dollar
the name.
Shave Club, and there's others.
Yeah, and there's others like that where you just join and they ship you what you need each month. Right. And so
Birchbox, it goes on and on.
And so a lot of companies can like even do bundling of products, right? You have this, look at the wine, the wine business has been like that. You sign up and every month they send you a different kind of wine based off of your likes and dislikes and so on and so forth, of which you gave them when they first signed up.
Or you give them feedback as you go.
Yeah, and if you don't like it, you just send that particular bottle back or whatever. And
right.
Yeah, I mean, listen, subscription-based services are excellent when it comes to recurring businesses, but they have to have a marketing strategy too, because now you're not just buying from them one time. You're committing to buying from them over and over and over. And a lot of times you're doing it up front before you've even purchased from them the first time.
Right.
And so you have to have a really good marketing strategy to get people to buy into that, message, to that aspect of your business.
That's right.
And even the service-based businesses today, right, Mike? I mean, look, HVAC, they want to sell you a maintenance program. And so when I say things like that, I'm not saying that is not a good thing. I'm saying that is a good thing, not only for their business, but also for the consumers that's signing up. Because now if you join a maintenance program for the HVAC, you're getting discounts on products. You get maybe weekend calls if your heating and air system breaks. And we both know that we both know that scenario because we've both been in situations where we needed someone to come in on a Saturday night because it's 100 degrees inside our house and their air is broken, and we know that could be extremely expensive. I know one time you and I were out on the lake, Mike, in a boat. I bought a used boat, and we didn't have it, but I don't know, a couple of months. And the freaking alternator goes out, and we're out in the middle of the lake, and we shut it off, not knowing.
So what was that subscription service?
I thankfully had purchased a subscription service to Ceto.
Mm-hmm, that's right.
And it turns out that Ceto bills you by the hour if you're not subscribed to their subscription-based service.
And you're not priority.
And you're not priority. And so it literally, and it starts from when you call, not from when they get to you. Right. And so let's say they're on the other side of the lake. It takes them 30 minutes to get to you. Well, it started 30 minutes ago when you called them, and then it takes, to hook you up and tow you wherever you're going to go. The whole thing takes 3 hours. You've spent, $150, $200 an hour, $600. The whole subscription didn't cost, for the entire year, didn't cost but $200.
Right.
So sometimes it actually can save you money.
That's right. And so it's that value add. And the same thing with the maintenance agreement for an HVAC system and really any subscription service. I mean, the idea is, what value does it add to your life? Is it simplifying things for you? Is it give you peace of mind? Does it add additional benefits by having a subscription? Is it really a cost savings because they know that they've got a captive audience for a certain amount of time? I mean, so you look at really what value does it add to the customer and what your intention behind that subscription-based service is. So we could go into, on some other episodes, we could talk about what it looks like to build a great recurring revenue model. I think that'd be a great topic.
This certainly would be part of that.
Oh yeah. So today we're talking specifically, how do we build a full-service funnel for the subscription-based services, businesses.
Exactly.
So how do we take them through the entire process from building traffic awareness to attracting leads, getting them to a lead, to converting that lead, making sure it's got the margin that we want, getting them coming back more frequently.
Right.
So ascending that relationship and cross-selling, cross-promoting.
Right.
And then how do we get them to buy as frequently as possible, and then to refer others.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And if you want, like Mike says, we can do a show specifically on how to build a recurring model. If you want to kind of brainstorm that with us, then get in touch with us. You can go to thebrainstormradio.com, subscribe to our podcast. You can go to our YouTube channel. You can watch all of our webisodes there. And you can just contact us and you can say, hey, listen, I want to talk to you guys about building a recurring revenue model. Because one good thing about building a recurring revenue model in a service-based, subscription-based service is it gives you the ability to budget well, because you know how much money you have coming in, you know how many clients you have to get at a certain price point. It really enables you to budget well. So, Mike, talk to us about that phase, the attraction phase. Just how do you reach the target audience in any type of subscription-based services?
Right. So a lot of subscription-based services are being sold online. And so whether that be a delivery service that's bringing a good to you, like a Freshly, or that be a Netflix that's you're paying a subscription fee, or Apple Music, you're paying a subscription fee on a recurring basis to have access to content. And that content in that case is either television shows, movies, or music. Software as a service, so think QuickBooks, lots of other kind of web-based software that you're not buying the software.
Right, something that you use on a daily basis.
You use on a continual basis. It's web-based. You don't have to, put maintenance on it. That's all up to whoever provides that software.
A lot of that, from a consumer perspective, a lot of that is app-based, right? You can get like
That's right.
workouts where you subscribe and they continue to send you nutritional recipes or workouts or things of that nature.
Yes, there's so many different threads to that subscription-based service model. But ultimately, most people, unless that's the entire model, if it's an entire model like some of these we just mentioned, most of that's promoted online. and some offline. They may have billboards and radio commercials, television commercials.
Yeah, depending on if you're local or national or who your target market is.
So it all starts with your target audience. Who is your target audience? Who is the consumer buyer of this type of subscription-based service? You're not going to try and sell a software as a service that's made for small businesses to people who are not small businesses.
Right.
Wouldn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I mean, you could, but you would waste a lot of money.
Right.
And so what happens is you find out who that audience is, you define that, and then you find out where they're camping out, where they're spending time, where are they looking for information to help them with whatever it is that your subscription-based service helps them with.
Right.
And then you create messaging that speaks to them, and you have it at a high frequency. You hit them with different benefits. You really speak to the pain points or the desired outcome that we recognize the target audience mostly goes after this type of service for to resolve, and then you drive them somewhere to further engage them. So that's really what you do. You have to be front and center in front of them. You've got to have a compelling message that resonates with them, speaks to their desired end state, what they're really trying to accomplish, and then showing them a clear path to move forward.
Yeah, in that, you made all that sound. You were so smooth in that delivery; it almost sounded simple.
Right.
You know what I mean? All you got to do is create this cool message, and the cool message resonates. Man, let me tell you, there's a lot of weight to all of that.
There is,
and we'll do a show for you guys all about messaging. As a matter of fact, we need to make notes on that. Do a show on messaging because just that part alone is an entire show. I mean,
that's right. How
do you construct the message? How many messages will resonate? How do you do A/B testing to find out which one's working and which ones isn't, and so on and so forth. And not every client is the same, and so different messages will resonate with different people. But how important is messaging, Mike? I mean, you said it a minute ago, build messaging that will resonate. I mean, how much time have you seen people waste when it comes to their messaging, trying to build advertising in the attraction phase of trying to get people? It's got to be significant.
You know, something that I would say, Matt, is that I saw a guy speaking on a different subject, but he used some of these, what I'm about to share, as the example. And he said, a basketball in my hands, and this guy's hands, in my hands too, is probably worth about a little bit less than what I paid for it at Target or Dick's Sporting Goods or Hibbett or wherever I bought it.
Right.
$15-20.
Right.
But in the hands of LeBron James, it could be worth millions and millions of dollars. Right. And so when you try and invest money in advertising and marketing, it's not very worthwhile if you don't have someone who's helping craft a crystal clear message. And it all starts with who that audience is.
Yeah.
And so having your message in the hands of a creator that's gifted in that adds considerable value. So the point is this: oftentimes we'll hear people say, well, I tried Facebook advertising, or I tried this and it just doesn't work for my business. And then we dig a little deeper and say, okay, let's look at the messaging. What were you promoting? What message were you sending? Who were you trying to attract? And they slap something against the wall, so to speak, to see if something will work.
Which is what the majority of people say. I know,
and then it fails. And then they think the tactic doesn't work, and it's because they didn't have crystal clear messaging.
Right. And then they just say, I'm not doing that. It didn't work. Yeah. Right. Well, it was all about the messaging. I know yesterday's message, and that's a lot of years I summed up with the word yesterday, right? And so historically, messaging has just been, hey, this is what I do, right? Whereas today and tomorrow's messaging has to be how it helps or solves the problem of the consumer that's purchasing, whether that's a business, like a B2B subscription-based service, or a B2C subscription-based service. Here's what it does, right? And so in the case of TV, we know you're watching TV, right? People watch TV, whether it's OTT TV, whether it's subscription or just the Hulus and the YouTubes and the Netflix and Amazon Primes type thing. But you're watching some video because there's 4 billion videos being watched every single day just on YouTube alone. So there's some people out there watching some video.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so you have to give a message that just really resonates with the pain point what's going on in their mind today.
Yeah, stay home with what you're talking about, a subscription-based service for some type of streaming content. We'll just call it movies, television, like a Netflix. It's enjoy an entire series without leaving your couch.
Right.
For one ridiculously low monthly price.
Right.
You don't have to remember to pay the bill. We're not going to send you a paper bill. It's going to auto draft out of your account or off of your card. It's simple for you. You just turn the TV on. You can watch it from your phone, your iPad. You can switch rooms and immediately catch right back up where you were in the middle of a show. I mean, it show you how you can enjoy that content for only a few dollars a month. In reality, I think it's 11 or 12 maybe now.
Yeah, I don't know.
They continue to elevate that as they add more content.
Right, ease it up.
But it really, that's the message. It's entertainment at home or anywhere you're at, on demand, and we're going to continue to add more of it.
Yeah, hey, listen, I'm definitely a subscriber to subscription-based services. If I like it one time, the odds say I'm going to like it over and over and over. So I find the value in not having to worry about it over and over and over. I just have subscribed to the services, especially I'm a cord cutter. And so I've cut all of my cable and all that type of stuff, and I've gone to YouTube TV through my Roku stick, right? Mm-hmm. And so I have a Roku in all of my TVs, and all of them have the same subscription to the YouTube TV, which is like $50 a month or something like that. So instead of paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars to my cable company, I'm paying $50 a month for all the television that I need and want. And I have all the channels that I was watching.
And you can take it on the go with you.
And I can go anywhere I want to with the same TV.
Yeah.
I even have it on my device, right? And so it's a perfect scenario for me. And I'm just using TV because we're talking about subscription-based services.
It's lots of things.
It's lots of things.
Yeah.
And so the attraction phase is based off of putting the right message that we were talking about a minute ago in the right platform where your target market is actually shopping, right? So it could be social media. It could be, if it's local, it can even be offline tactics, right?
Mm-hmm. You know, another thing that you have to look at as a subscription-based service is if it's a new service, you have to project some of these things. But over time, if you're tracking your business performance, most businesses should be able to pinpoint what the customer lifetime value actually is. So, for instance, Netflix knows they've been in business long enough to create a historical data set that shows them how long the average user, subscriber, actually continues to utilize their service and pay. And so by knowing that data, they can then determine what the value of that customer is, so they know how much they should be willing to invest to capture that customer, and then also make sure that they're charging the appropriate amount to make sure it's a profitable relationship over the long haul.
Hey, and that type of information, if you are interested and you don't currently have some type of subscription-based or recurring business model, that right there is going to be key to building that strategy. Because I talked with someone today who was a franchise owner of a very popular franchise who is a recurring service-based model. Okay. And what he said was he made a major mistake when he first got going because the franchise recommended a price range, and he decided to offer everybody up front the lowest price range possible in order to get a bunch of volume up front. What he now realizes 3 years into this thing is those people, right? Everybody he started off that year one at a really, really low, it cost him significant money because that's a recurring service. And so what's happened now is the thing that only cost him $60,000 year one cost him $120,000 year two, cost him $200,000 year three, because it compounds itself in pricing. And so we definitely can sit down and help you with that. Mike, talk to us about how we're now going to convert them, how we're going to get them interested. We've attracted them. They're somewhat interested. Now what do we need to do logistically, and how do we drive them to conversion?
So the first step is driving the traffic, creating that awareness, getting them to take some immediate action. That action oftentimes is to click through and go to a new destination. Could be a landing page, could be the website, could be something that explains step by step what that subscription-based service looks like and all that they have to offer them. What are the benefits? What problems do they help them solve? What's their life like afterward?
That's good
Inviting them
messaging
into
right
that
there.
story.
Yeah, that's great messaging right there.
And so once they're there, some people, and we want to give them a clear path to do so, have seen enough. Maybe they were already in the market looking for a solution to a problem that's really weighing on them or desire that they really have, and they're going to take more immediate action. So we always want a clear path for them to sign up now.
I like that.
They need to know what it looks like for them to sign up.
I love that, Mike, because so many people continue to sell.
Don't be afraid to ask for it.
Just go ahead and give it to them. If they're ready to buy, then create a simple path to where they can go ahead and buy right now.
Right. Nothing worse than trying to find the cash register in a store you're ready to check out.
Right.
I mean, that's awful, right? So make it a clear path to actually make a purchase. We know that's a smaller segment of the audience. Most people statistically are going to need 6, 7, 8 interactions or more before they make their initial purchase. And so now if someone's in maybe they've purchased some other good or service from you, and now you're trying to ascend them to cross-sell them into a subscription-based service, a little bit different because they've now experienced what you have to offer.
Sure.
But assuming that your primary model is this subscription-based service, the higher the dollar amount, the more frequency you're going to have in front of them, the more information you're going to have to provide, and the more clarity you're going to have around it because the risk is larger for them. Especially if your subscription-based service has a minimal length of time. And I see a lot of subscription-based services, they'll have a pricing model where it's, pay for an entire year up front, and they might show what the monthly cost is, but then they have a monthly, and maybe you can cancel anytime, but the monthly dollar amount is considerably higher.
Right.
In fact, Zoom is a great example of that we've recently been using quite a lot. And you can pay for a year up front and you save a few months of the service, but you're also making that longer term commitment. And that's scary to a lot of people when they haven't had a chance to really use that service in the past. So,
and in that particular example, we as an organization did both.
That's right.
We knew we were going to continue to use it because we were already using it. And so we knew we were going to continue. So we bought some seats that had the full year where we were able to save a couple of months. And then we bought some seats that we might forego later on in the future that we just did as a monthly recurring service.
Right. And so what happens is once you've gotten them to that destination, you've driven the traffic there. If they leave, we need to pull them back, right? So that's some retargeting. That's done mainly in digital advertising. You could extend that to direct mail, things like that, maybe, if you've had some interaction with them and you've got some contact info. But ultimately, the goal is to really get them into some type of customer relationship management software that then attaches ideally to some marketing automation, whether that's one software system that has all of that functionality or whether you're stacking multiple technologies, marketing tools on top of each other to kick those off. But so email marketing campaigns, retargeting ads, ultimately to get them to provide some information like their name and email address, whether that be providing valuable content that they want in exchange for that information, or whether that be a discount code that you offer them on their first month or their first 6 months of service. It's different for every business, but you got to find a way to get them into your funnel where you can recognize who they are and you can tailor your content to serve them in the most relevant ways based on how they're interacting with your brand up until the point where they make that purchase.
Right. Yeah.
They make that subscription happen.
I love that. There's no doubt about it. I mean, because the attraction phase drove them, and now you have to convert them, and you're only going to be able to do that if you communicate with them. And in cases like if you go online and you're going to want to purchase something online and they get all the way to the checkout, but yet they bounce and they don't check out, right? Then we need some type of cart abandonment, right? And so you have this cart abandonment, and that email comes back because at this point,
if they have your email address,
that's why you need the email address in order to pop in.
I mean, you could retarget them.
Yeah, from an IP address. Yeah,
that's right.
And so you definitely have that, but if you don't have that set up, then you just lost an opportunity.
Right. Right. And so what happens is you also need that data so you can track how many people are you having to reach for you to actually convert? What's that conversion path really look like?
Right.
How many visits is it taking? Which messages are moving people into action more quickly? So you can continue to refine your strategy. Obviously, you want to minimize the amount you have to invest to capture a new customer, but most importantly, you want to look at how can I retain this customer for the longest period of time. And that starts off with educating them effectively up front and guiding them to that conversion process and making it a simple, seamless process, as pain-free as possible, and where things just kind of happen from there.
Right. And so one of the things that I took from that statement that you just made was measurability, right? And so whatever you're going to do, you need to be able to measure it to understand how many opportunities you need in order to, at the end result, how much revenue you're going to receive, right? And so those could be different based off the business type. It could be price point difference, right? The larger the price point, obviously the more revenue, but you probably don't need as much volume because the price point's high. You're probably not going to get as much volume. And so you need a lot of volume if the price point's low because the profit's going to be low if you're only selling like a recurring widget or something of that nature. And so you got to have some type of metrics and measurability to ascertain, the volume that you need, right? And so now that's excellent points. All right, so now what we've done is attracted them. We're getting them in this funnel, and we're converting them, and we're talking about really some missed opportunities, communication, if they haven't actually converted, right? If they haven't actually purchased something.
Yeah.
But if they have converted, and how do we get them to convert into ancillary types of other like upsells or some cross-sell opportunities? And how many upsell, cross-sell opportunities can there be with subscription-based services?
Could be a lot. A lot of folks will have an introductory offering, and so you may have 2 or 3 or 4 different levels of service, or you may have a ancillary service that you can add on, whether it's a one-time purchase or whether it's also a elevated subscription level. And so you'll see that in software as a service a lot. So they may have a plan where you can have so many users, or you have access to certain features. But if you go to the next plan, it opens up a handful of other features that they find are often really valuable. Oftentimes the most valuable subscription and the one they really want to sell you is somewhere in the middle, right?
Good, better, best.
Yeah, most people don't think they want the premium,
right?
The top shelf, and they don't want the bottom shelf. They don't want the entry. But they think, hey, I'm a middle of the road kind of person.
Right. They don't want to be obnoxious and say, give me the very best, right? Yeah. They don't want to be the cheapskate where it says, I don't want the little cheap stuff either. Right. But the middle of the road can work. I guess you can also sell, if you get someone to buy in a subscription-based service, you can also sell them a one-off product to coincide with the subscription-based service as well.
That's right.
That's probably pretty popular.
Let's say like there's a lot of like subscription-based exercise programs where you buy the product, right? But then it has a subscription-based service that goes with it, or vice versa. It's got a subscription-based service, but then, hey, you could buy your own monitor, right? Like a heart monitor or tracker, or you could buy some other device,
all those types of things
that helps you do it more effectively.
And in that particular case, you can almost have it to where you have it preset to where there's like 10 one-off products that you can drip to them over time because you've been a subscription-based customer for 3 months. We have this special one-off product for you, or 6 months or 1 year.
What we find, Matt, is that a lot of organizations that are really successful at subscription-based services, they oftentimes have more than one plan available.
I like that.
And that plan may provide extended access or extended services that they're accessing.
Right.
So extended access could be more users, more devices. Maybe an entry level only allows you to load something on 1 or 2 devices if it's software. Or a streaming service, where the next level might offer you more access. The other thing is frequency. So we were talking during our break about a common friend of ours that has a subscription-based model that is a service where they come to your home and perform a specific type of service
Right.
on a recurring basis.
Right, a spraying type service.
Right. And so some people are on once a month service. Some people are on
Twice a month.
Or every 3 weeks.
Right,
And some people are every week.
right,
And so there's different levels that you can access for them. So obviously, the more frequently someone's buying, the higher the price point is
Right.
going to be
maybe,
overall.
Maybe the lower price point per time.
That's right.
But the more revenue the business is receiving and the more money the consumer is spending. But I love that because you're giving the consumer, whoever it is, whether it's a business B2B transaction or B2C transaction, you're giving them an opportunity to make a decision, whatever is best for them.
Well, you're letting them slide in if they're not 100% comfortable jumping in at a higher tier level. They want to test the waters and maybe they don't know exactly how well it's going to work for them, or if they'll use it at the same rate that they think they might. So they want a proving ground.
Right.
They want to subscribe with the least amount of risk. And so having a lower tiered opportunities to get into the funnel and convert and begin to experience that brand's service on a recurring basis. And then what's so important is the organization continues to communicate with them. And if they're using it at a frequency that they think that buyer should, then they will educate them on the opportunity to ascend their subscription base.
I like that. I like that a lot, actually. So it gives someone an opportunity to come in. They like it enough, they want it. And so now they're going to be able to come in at a lower price point than even they might need.
Yep.
But they're able to get in and experience the service and see how it's working for them. And then it's the business's job to communicate, almost overly communicate, to then make sure that they're ready to step up into what they actually need versus what they started with, what they purchased to begin with. Because the business already knows that you probably need a higher level of subscription than what you originally chose. Mm-hmm. And so if you communicate and say, hey, we noticed that XYZ took place, you're using the service and maximizing the service, so on and so forth. We have the ability for you to increase your level of participation for just a little bit more. It's almost like a no-brainer for the majority of the people.
The other thing we know is psychologically, once people make a decision and they committed to a price, so we'll just throw an example out. Let's say it's $49 a month as the entry level for some type of subscription-based service.
Right.
Well, maybe the package that the provider, if you're a subscription-based service provider, may really believe is ideal for that audience is $129 a month.
Okay.
But maybe that is too big of a barrier based on what your audience understands about your service to get them to commit. So you offer the $49 lower tiered service level.
Right.
And now you are going to go back and maybe you are able to ascend them to a $99.
Right.
So they've already committed $50 a month. What's another $50?
Right.
And then from there, maybe you ascend them to the $125 or the $200 or whatever that dollar amount is. Once someone's made the commitment at a price point, it's much easier to get them to agree and add on those extended services if it truly adds value to them for considerably more.
Yeah, no, I like that because obviously it's not going to work every time, but we're not talking about every time. We're not talking about the bell curve where we have the extremes, right? One extreme to the other extreme. What we're really talking about is the average customer base, the 80%, if you will, not the 10% to this side or the 10% to this side, the 80% in the middle. Because if you get 80% exactly where you want them, even 60% exactly where you want them, and exactly when I say where you want them, I'm talking about where the consumer of those services, whether it's a business or a consumer, where the consumer of those services need to be. So it's not just where the business wants them, but where they should be anyway. If you get 60%, that's a really good model. It's a sweet spot model. And then you can worry about the extremes, the low side, and the high side. Well, you don't really have to worry about the high side, right? You just let them spend that money if they want to, but you can worry about bringing the low side into the medium, if you will.
So another thing to do is, we know that retaining those customers long-term is so important to the profitability. Oftentimes, we see subscription-based services where they're investing more upfront to capture the customer. They don't really turn a profit the first few months. So the longer they have them and can retain them, the more likely they are to be highly profitable with that customer. It's always more costly to get a new customer than it is to retain one if you have a sound communication plan in place. So we need to make sure that they're utilizing it. So tracking how frequently they're using this service. If they're finding that they're not taking advantage of whatever this service is, like a gym membership, if the people aren't showing up, gyms years ago figured out there's a certain timeline when someone's subscription to their gym membership is going to expire 3 to 6 months out. They begin to increase, and they've been doing this for a long time. They'd increase their communication with that customer because they know if they can get them back in the gym, connect them, even if they have to connect with them with a personal trainer or add tanning or massage or the pool or some other extended service in those last few months, if they can find a way to get them back in, they're much more likely to renew.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. That's a very good point. I know that I've been paying for a gym membership for I don't know how long, and I go by there every once in a while because the coffee place is right down the road from them.
Right,
that
so
I
you
go
drive
to,
past
so
it?
I drive past it every now and then and pick up some coffee.
But you feel better about yourself knowing you have that
I went
membership.
by the gym today, and
you can have the little tag on your keychain, so when people see it, they're like, oh yeah, he works out.
Then they see me and they're like, oh yeah, you don't work out. That's pretty obvious. No, that's a good point because recurring services, subscription-based services that we were talking about at break as well, has been around a long, long time, well before the internet, right? Well before this movement took place of building recurring revenue models. What's happened over the most recent time frame is historically non-traditional recurring models or non-traditional subscription-based models have popped up, right? We talked a little bit about wine companies. We talked a little bit about subscription-based workout types, organizations, things of that nature. And so now what we have is this influx of a lot of people wanting to build these types of models. Whereas in the past, I know you were talking a little while ago about all types of things that's been going on for years and years and years. Landscaping, maid services. I mean, there's always those types. Someone was talking
Pest
about
control. I mean, we could go on
and on. Somebody was talking about like in some areas, someone bought a gas truck and will come over to the park and rides and fill up gas on a subscription basis. There's all kinds of ideas. We'd love to talk to you guys about any specific recurring business models you might have. But what we'd love for you to do is go to thebrainstormradio.com, subscribe to our podcast, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We do a lot of content on there that we don't do live on the radio. But thanks for joining us on The Brainstorm with Matt and Mike.